So in this video, we're talking about a theorem connecting or questioning when a graph has a strong orientation. Recall, a graph having a strong orientation means this is a graph without directions, without directed edges. And having a strong orientation means that we can direct the edges, orient the edges in a way that what we get is a strong digraph. Strong digraph again means that between any pair of vertices, there exists directed paths in both directions. Okay, and this is again one of these theorems where there is an obviously necessary condition, no bridges, and the theorem says that this condition already is sufficient. So for the first part, I'm saying obvious, necessary. Well, what would go wrong if there is a bridge? So if I have an edge in my graph, and of course the graph has to be connected. I didn't write that. It's always G connected in all of this, right? Like pretty much all our graphs are connected. So if we have a bridge, it's obvious that we cannot orient this so that the resulting digraph is strong, because if we direct the edge that way, then we might be able to go from U to V, but certainly not vice versa, because the only way to get from V to U is using that edge, but this edge goes the wrong way. So you can't do it. And vice versa, if we direct it the other way, it couldn't work. So that means that if we have a strong orientation, that we certainly don't have bridges, because bridges don't allow a strong orientation. So let's look at the other way around. How can we prove this? What does no bridges mean? Well, no bridges means, like, let's look at our block decomposition of our graph. So let's look at all the cut vertices in this graph and look at the blocks that are spanned. So here's the block decomposition of our graph. No bridge means that we do not have anything like a block which is a K2, like something like this. We don't have that in our graph. That's what no bridge does to us. So no bridge means that every block in our block decomposition actually is two connected and not a K2. Okay, so that's what we get. So why would I do the block decomposition? Well, this enables me to find a strong orientation in every block by itself. Why does this help? Well, let's say we want to find a path from U to V, and we have to be able to find a path from U to V and a path from V to U. So how do we find a path from U to V? If we know that every block is strong, well, we just find the blocks that we have to traverse to get from one to the other, and in each block we just go to that cut vertex with a directed path, like so. And of course, for the vice versa, we can do the reverse, right? So this means that if we can find a strong orientation of every block, that orientation will be a strong orientation of the whole graph, because as long as we can find paths in both directions between any two vertices in the block, we can find paths between any two vertices in the graph. Now, no bridges again means that every block is two connected. So what remains to show is that we need to show the statement that G has a strong orientation only for two connected graphs, not just for graphs with no bridges. Like, we can actually have the stronger assumption that our graph is two connected. Okay, so it suffices to show the statement that G has a strong orientation now for two connected graphs. So how do we show that? Well, a two connected graph, let's take two vertices. We know in a two connected graph, these two vertices are on a cycle. If two vertices are in a cycle, we can direct that cycle in one way. And now, sorry, obviously there is a closed walk containing all directed walk, containing all the vertices of that cycle. So we have a subgraph spanned by these edges of the cycle that is a strong orientation of that cycle. So now, if this is our whole graph, or this is all the vertices of our graph, we're done, because any extra edges between vertices of that cycle we can direct however we want. We don't care. It's still going to be a strong orientation. So let's assume this is not it. So take another vertex out here, which is not on the cycle yet. Now, since our graph is two connected, this vertex has two internally independent paths to the cycle. Now, what does this help us? Well, we can direct one path in one direction, the other path in the other direction, and I'm claiming the resulting graph spanned by just the green and the blue edges here is strong. Why is it strong? Well, if we want to get from one vertex anywhere in the graph to any vertex in here, we'll just find a strong or a directed path to the one end of this path and go there. And then for the way back, we just go to the other end of the path and use again the strongness of the blue part to get back to our original vertex. So from a blue to a green vertex, it's easy like that. And from a blue to the blue, we can do it already. And from a green to a green, also, all we have to do is, if we have these two, for one direction, we just stay on the green path. For the other direction, we go in the blue, go from one cut vertex to the other cut vertex in the blue, and go back to the other green vertex. Okay, so this is one step. And now we can induct on this and do the step over and over again. Notice that all we've used of the blue part is not that it's a cycle, all we've used that it's strong, a strong orientation. So now we have a bigger graph with a strong orientation. If there's still our vertices out here, we can again, because it's two connected, find a path to what we have and back. And again, we can direct it however we want in one direction. And this new thing, which is called, this path is called an ear. It's, well, that's just the name of it. This new decomposition is again going to be strong. So we can do this until we've covered all the vertices. So we've got a strong orientation spanning all the vertices of the graph, and all the remaining edges that might still be in there, we can direct however we want because we never have to use them to get one from one vertex to the other. So this is the whole proof of this theorem.